everyone, it's Missy. So I have a lot of tomatoes in my food storage that need to be used up, so I'm canning a batch of ketchup today. And I'm going to use the ball canning recipe for this. I did take it out of the Ball Canning Back to Basics book, but I know that they have the ketchup recipe in Ball Blue Books and other books that they have published as well. To start the recipe, I took a square of cheesecloth to make a spice bag. In my spice bag, I have 2 cinnamon sticks that I broke into pieces. I have 1 1/2 teaspoons whole allspice, 3 tablespoons celery seed, and 4 teaspoons of whole cloves. I place all the spices into the middle of my cheesecloth and I fold up the corners, and then I will be tying this with a piece of thread. Once it is tied, I'm going to add it to a pot of 3 cups of apple cider vinegar. While I'm waiting for that to come to a boil, I have 24 pounds of tomatoes cored and quartered, which is about 72 medium-sized tomatoes, and I put them in my pots. And to that, I'm going to add 3 cups of chopped onion, which is about 4 medium-sized onions. As you can see, I'm splitting this mixture out between 2 pots because I just did not have room in one. To that, I'm also going to add 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and I'm going to cook this over high heat, bringing it to a boil, and then I'll reduce the heat and boil gently for 20 minutes. I want to make sure that I get these tomatoes softened so that way I can run them through my food mill. As I'm letting this tomato mixture cook, once my vinegar comes to a boil, I remove it from the heat and let it stand for 25 minutes. I didn't show that in the video, but as you can see, the tomatoes are cooking right along, and once they have been cooked for about 20 minutes, that is when I add in the vinegar. And when I'm adding in the vinegar, I am still allowing the tomatoes to boil gently until the vegetables are soft and the mixture begins to thicken, which is about 30 minutes. The vinegar I was trying to add equally between the pots, and when this boils down further, I will be adding this to my food mill, and then it will all be put in one pot. Now, the food mill that I'm using, I did not have a thin or small enough holes to remove the seeds, but this removes the majority of the solids, and then what you can do is put it through a strainer, a mesh strainer placed over a stainless steel bowl, and press with the back of a spoon to even extract the liquid further from the solids and also remove the seeds. I did purchase an extra disc with finer holes so I don't have to do that step, but as you can see, I'm just ladling into my fine mesh strainer and using the back of my ladle to push the liquid through into my enameled sauce pot. Once the liquid is returned to the saucepan, I'm going to add 1.5 cups of sugar, and I'm also going to add 1/4 cup ball salt for pickling and preserving. Any pickling salt will do. And then I am just going to return this to a boil over medium heat and stir it occasionally. And then I'll reduce the heat and boil gently, stirring frequently. And you want to make it sure that it reduces at least by half. Now, the book says that this will take 45 minutes. Because I didn't use paste tomatoes and I used slicing tomatoes and also other heirloom tomatoes, it took about 1.5 hours to 2 hours for it to reduce to what you see in this video. I also decided to cook it a little bit longer because I just want it to be the consistency of commercial ketchup. They say that you want it to be a little bit on the thin side, and it was pretty thin, but it was okay. I mean, it had thickened up from what I originally had it when I started out. Once you get it to the consistency that you want, you just ladle it into a hot pint jar. You want to leave 1/2 inch of headspace. Should have mentioned too that this recipe makes about 7 1-pint jars. So I just have my funnel and I'm carefully ladling in the ketchup into the jar. And once I have it up to about the top, I usually take the funnel out just to make sure that I get it as close to the headspace as I need it to get. So once I reach about where I think it's 1/2 inch, I have my little measurement there, and then I will take a wooden skewer and poke out all the air bubbles. Once I have agitated the air bubbles out of the mixture, I have a damp cloth and I wipe the rim of the jar so it is clean, and that will allow the lid to adhere to the jar. My lids are heating in a pot on the stove, and so that way they're sterilized. And I will add the lid by taking my lid lifter and centering the lid over the jar. And then all that's left to do is add a band, and I apply it until it is fingertip tight. And then I place the jar in my canner, and once all the jars are filled, I will process the jars for 15 minutes, adjusting for altitude, turn off the heat, remove the lid for 5 minutes, and remove the jars. This is usually the part where I show you my final product that I had canned, and I just realized I forgot to finish this video and I don't have any ketchup. It was on the thinner side, but I think it turned out okay compared to what I've done in the past. But if you have any questions, you can leave me a comment below. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye!